Hi and welcome to the newly launched The HomeKit Show, and I want to welcome my co-host Chris Young, aka the HomeKit Geek.
Thank you very much, John. Really happy to be here, and I've been watching the journey, so now I'm happy to be walking the journey as well. So it's I think we're going to do good things and have lots of interesting conversations from a lot of different angles. So looking forward to it.
That's what you're wanting to get out of it, then. What are you wanting to give the readers or listeners? Sorry, not readers.
I think what's really interesting to me. So first off, is just geeking out over smart home tech, right? You know, that's really cool. I have my nerd side, absolutely, but as I've gone through, and I posted a video on this recently, I'm kind of going through this growing up stage where I'm trying to be more thoughtful around my smart home. And what I've found is the more you talk about other people, you'll realize that depending the place you live, the products that are available to you, regional challenges, like all these different, where you are in your life, it's really interesting to see how people solve problems differently. It's interesting to hear different approaches to ideas, thoughts, design, like all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you, with the audience, and basically just learning together.
And thank you to our sponsor, Quidnode, of this week's The HomeKit Show. Quidnode hosting offer a variety of hosting services powered by enterprise-grade hardware and backed by a team of experts based in the US and UK, with a range of services from web hosting, game server hosting, virtual private servers, and dedicated servers at wallet-friendly prices. You can't go wrong with this service. Visit quidnode.com and use the discount code AKH for 25% off your order. Thanks again, Quidnode, for sponsoring this video. On this week's show, we're going to cover what's new for this week, and also we're going to discuss a weekly topic as well, which is going to be based around how to, not necessarily how to set up your HomeKit at home, but how to go about approaching setting up your HomeKit home, whether it needs to be an intentional design or whether you need to grow organically, and sharing both of our thoughts on that. We're also going to talk about some products which we're both going through reviews at the moment, the Vocolinc MistFlow and also the Yale Linus Smart Lock. So guys, stick around, and we'll get into what's new this week.
So the first thing we're going to talk about in what's new is the Home 4 Plus app, or Home Plus 4 or something like that, which has now gone to version 5. So this app, for some, it's been expensive, but it has been worth absolutely every penny. So if you go back far enough in the HomeKit world, HomeKit, I think, was first released as a developer kind of a framework in iOS 7 or 8. And the Home Plus app was released before Apple's Home app was released. So this goes back that long. So the developer, Matthias Brutella on Twitter, has been constantly releasing this as a new application. And to be honest, for me, it has been my go-to for basically as long as I've been doing HomeKit, as the application that allows you to access a lot of those automated or advanced, what I would call advanced automations, conditionals, ability to go in and look at unique, what we would call vendor-specific things in the background, like being able to hit the Vocolinc, the breathe, the dynamic scenes, those kinds of things. So this application, it has traditionally not been the most pleasant to look at, in my opinion. I think they've got he's done an amazing job at it, just a complete revamp. I really like the look of the new app, and I'm strongly considering using this as my daily driver.
I don't tend to use many apps outside of out of the Home app. I think the one that I do use is the Eve app, and that's simply because one of my first products was, or one of my first couple of products was an Eve smart plug. So next up is Eve and the new Eve, possible new Eve degree that's around the corner with Thread. I know this was spotted on the FCC website a couple of weeks ago. Thread is certainly in there in terms of a wireless protocol, along with Bluetooth as well. I've got the current generation Eve degree. It's in my garden. I know it's currently showing it's -5 here in the UK at the moment, which is probably nowhere near what you're experiencing, Chris. One of the things I found with the current Eve degree is that, obviously with Bluetooth range, because it's out in the garden and it's quite a fair distance away from any of my HomeKit hubs, plus my OS devices, I have to go out into the garden to be able to collect the data. Sometimes there's a force that it comes through, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing if Thread, when it eventually arrives, will improve that range. What do you think about this new Eve product that's possibly around the corner, and also the support that it's going to bring?
So and again, I find this interesting. I have heard, and again, we'll see when it's actually released, right? But I've heard they're looking at calling this the new Eve Weather.
Yeah.
So if you go back far enough, in the first release of the Eve products, there was the Eve Weather that looked like the original Eve Room. The Degree was the first of what I would call the new Eve aesthetic, the smart home devices for grown-ups, that black and chrome steel.
Yeah.
These have been just workhorses. Like I have two of them. I have one in my living room, which is just a nice there, and I have one which I've also put outside. And depending on the vendor, their idea of outdoor rated is an interesting it's an interesting thing of what outdoor rated actually means. I have seen this Eve Degree, the one that I've got outside, survive minus 40, 45 Celsius temperatures. And these are like the brutally horrible days. It is, I think right now, today, we're looking at a low of minus 21, and this thing just keeps ticking, which is just shows the quality, the manufacturing that goes into those.
Yeah,
I had the same issue with you. It is a bit outside of my normal range. So I have an Eve Extend that has kind of addressed that problem. I don't use it so much for running any automations though. Right now, I haven't done a lot outside. I do have some Hue bulbs that I leave out there in the winter, which are in the summer, not the winter, because again, Hue is that one of these aforementioned questionable definitions of outside. But it's just been awesome. I hope that Thread will help here, but at some point we're going to have to do a deep dive on Thread. But I would expect that the Eve Degree will be what's called a Thread sleepy end device, which means it will not participate in the mesh, and it will only be able to talk to whatever the closest Thread device is.
I agree with that because it's battery operated. So yeah.
Thread router, right?
Yeah.
We can get into this in the next topic as well, Nanoleaf, but all of the Thread accessories at the moment that are coming out that I have looked at appear to be sleepy end devices.
Yeah.
Light bulbs, light strips included.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
That being said, I don't know that your distance is going to get a whole lot better from Bluetooth 5 to going to Thread if you're still going back to the same HomePod Mini.
Yeah. I think it's Bluetooth 4 though, isn't it? The current Eve Degree.
I may be wrong. Be. I'm not. Yeah, you could be right, but
we won't research it now. But we'll ask one of the viewers or listeners to leave it in the comments and let us know if we are which one is right. But like you, going back to the weather side of the situation and leave it outside. Mine's been out now since probably last January. I've changed the battery last week, so the battery did drain, I think, pretty fast, but then not as fast as I think other people have been reporting. Some people have been reporting 3 months, but it all depends on the temperatures. I think the lowest temperature it's ever got to is minus 6 degrees in the UK for me, and 40 degrees in its highest temperature. It's been outside all the time. It's positioned on a fence just under a runner, so it does get a fair amount of protection. But at the same time, it's been covered in snow. It's been rain. It does fairly well. To say it only should support light splashing. I love when companies say that, light splashing. What does that mean?
Don't use a pressure hose on it. The 3 months, I wonder what people are doing, because I've had the same experience with you. I think it's a CR2450 battery in those things, and it's been I've maybe replaced once a year, maybe every 2 years. Yeah. So I would imagine if you're downloading your data every single day and really driving, accessing the devices as like just daily, multiple times a day, maybe, but not my experience. So looking at the third new thing on our list was Nanoleaf announced adaptive lighting support, but you have to be a little bit careful on this one in that you have to really read what they said. So it was Nanoleaf Essentials get the adaptive lighting support. So I think there's been some confusion on this around, hey, look, my new light panels, they're going to get adaptive lighting. They still have the circadian rhythm lighting that Nanoleaf has, but the adaptive lighting has come to the Essentials, which is, I think, what is it, the A19 and the the LED strip. I think all of us saw this. Some of us, we got it requires a firmware update. Again, why Apple did that, I don't know, but still, we'll move on that. And it does require your iCloud to be aware that it's got that firmware update. So what we saw kind of going back on Twitter was a few people going, I upgraded my bulb and I see it on my iPhone, but I don't see it on my iPad.
Yeah.
Right. So that is something to be aware of, that hopefully listeners will, just have a little patience. Right. It is there. It does work.
Yeah, and I think what I found, and I did a video on this, how to update, which is, but also I had people reach out to me, and what I experienced it not appearing in the Home app on any of my devices at all when I first updated. So I went running around the house and unplugging all my HomeKit hubs, and as soon as they all came back online, it was there. That could help a lot of people, just to do a reboot of the hub.
Absolutely. No, that is for those of us who've been doing this long enough, you've opened a couple of Apple cases and had that patience. That is absolutely step one, right? And the reason behind that they gave me is the iCloud sync, right? Sometimes your devices just get a little sleepy and out of tune with what the reality is. So by just rebooting them, it does help a lot.
Yeah. And also as well as adaptive lighting, and I'm not overly convinced on the current implementation of HomeKit adaptive lighting at the moment. I've got it on the Philips Hue, I've got it on the Nanoleaf Essentials, which I've nearly replaced every IKEA trad-free bulb now with the Nanoleaf Essentials.
Trode-free. I learned the Swedish. I got corrected.
And it's set up, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Yeah, it just doesn't do it for me right now.
I was going to say, so I agree with you 100%. Adaptive lighting was the thing I was most excited about and totally disappointed in. Right. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But I have been running a beta of Follow the Sun by Homemade Automations. It's the same guy, Matt, who did
that's right, yes.
Signals.
Yeah.
So I've been running that, and it's still early days, and I do have his permission to talk about this. I did this in a recent video as well, so I'm not breaking any NDAs here. He has put something together which is or could be magical, and it essentially no firmware updates required. It has to run on your Mac, so it can always be running and doing the work it does. But I'm really hopeful that number one, that he sets the bar high for what adaptive lighting should have been.
Yeah.
And I hope he gets enough revenue out of the time spent before Apple figures out that, man, they should have done it that way.
Just on the Nanoleaf Essentials, before we move on, something that was missed is the update also brings color scenes as well. So like with the light panels that allow color scenes and the changing lights, you also can enable color scenes for the bulbs as well. In the controls, they have now got a tab for scenes, and you can add scenes. So there's things like Northern Lights or Burning Fire, and it will change the colors and also the color temperatures to match that particular scene. So it wasn't really reported on. I missed it until the other day when I was having a bit of a look around. It's promising to see bulbs and light strips of this price getting HomeKit adaptive lighting. Here in the UK, $17.99, and it's the exact same price as the IKEA ones. It blows the IKEA ones away in terms of brightness and in terms of the hues and everything. It just.
Yeah, one of my big uses for LED strips is plants. Right, I wrap them around shelves to make sure that and if you can get a good RGBW full spectrum lighting, I have just seen like my plants. And again, I live in a northern hemisphere where at certain times of the year, you wonder if there is a sun.
Yeah.
And these things are ridiculously bright. Right, you remember the days when I think it was the LifeX was the brightest, and then Eve came out with a 1800 watts on there, or 1800 lumens. And then I think these are like 2,200 lumens or something crazy like that.
Crazy.
For that price
crazy.
point. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Definitely in the, I would call the, $50 approximately or below price range. One of the top bets for sure.
Okay, so moving on to our weekly topic. This actually come, I believe, as well. There was a number of people that tweeted when we said we were doing this around designing a HomeKit setup. And I know, Chris, you frame this as intentional design versus organic growth. So, Chris, you seem very passionate about this.
I am and I think this is a thing where it depends on where you are. And there's no judgment in when I'm putting phrases here, although you may feel like I'm getting a little judgy, right? If you are in a organic growth, which is a very Canadian polite way of saying it's a hodgepodge. It's you put stuff wherever it is. Your significant other is probably looking at you going, "You're not putting any more lights in here, are you?" And there is no question mark at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
That's okay, right? I'm fine if that's where you are. But there gets to be a point where you start looking around, and especially for people like us who have been, we're blessed with the opportunity to get review units, and sometimes I've literally had people just send me free gear, like it's insane. You kind of start looking around and going, do I really need 5 air quality sensors in this room? What am I doing from a light standpoint? All right, so what the beautiful thing about HomeKit is that as a overall ecosystem, it allows you to kind of tie all these things together and treat them equally, regardless of the vendor. So the organic growth, I think, it's cool for everybody to go through that. But like I said, you get to a point, and it's kind of, I talked about this in a recent video. It's like when you get out of college and you have all your hand-me-down furniture, right? There gets to be a point where you want to grow up a little bit and think about, well, do I actually need that futon couch? Maybe not, right? So I'm in my house right now, I'm going through this and trying to be very, very explicit about figuring out what is the intention for that room, what are the design requirements, and really, again, I'm an engineer as a background, focused on networking engineering, which is why I have feelings about Thread. So design driven, feedback loop oriented, and really thinking about what it is that you're doing, right? What are you looking at from a temperature standpoint? What's the Goldilocks zone for humidity? We are dealing, and we're going to talk about this a little bit in the product spotlight, but we're dealing with different times of year as well. So in Canada right now, central heating, it's cold. Central heating heats up, the air gets really dry. The air gets dry. If you're from a northern country, you may be familiar with the term winter itch. Your skin starts literally feeling like it's going to peel off. That's not good. So humidifiers can kind of compensate for that, right? So you got to figure out, okay, well, what is my Goldilocks zone? What are my goals from a soundscape for sleeping, right? All of those kinds of things. And then if you understand your requirements, then for me, I'm trying to be very intentional about what products am I using? How do I simplify my operations? Could I have 7 hubs? Absolutely. Right. But that brings other issues, right? So it's all about that, the trade-off and the benefits, and taking a little time up front rather than, ooh, Eve released something new, I'm going to buy it and just throw it in a room because there's an open plug spot there.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. I think when you're first starting out, you sort of get a bit excited, like you said. You rush to buy things, but I think it's hard to try and answer this question or give a view, because like you mentioned, getting review units. I've got things that I've never actually taken out of the box yet because I haven't got a place for it. I haven't had time to look at it. If you are going to be setting up a HomeKit home, then it is about understanding what you need, like you say, in terms of what you want to get out of automations and smart home products. Because I don't think it's just about buying a load of light bulbs that do a load of things. For me, if I was starting again, I'd be looking at, right, okay, what things am I going to get the most benefit from? And not necessarily looking across your house, but looking individual rooms. So which rooms do I spend the most time in? Which rooms am I going to get more value out of? So for instance, if it's your living room where your family spend more time, so some smart lighting, maybe some heating controls to control your heating, maybe some HomeKit blinds, so you can control. So it takes away that task of having to close the blinds, and looking at it from that point of view rather than just blanket. Right, okay, I need some smart lights, I need a load of smart blinds and smart plugs. I think if you can look at it from a point of view that you tackle it in a way that it makes your life easier, rather than getting some nice new gear. Because once you start making your life easier and you're making other people's life easier in the house, you
Yep.
also can get some nice new gear very easily because you say, "Oh, well, I've done all of this and it's great," and everyone's going, "Yeah, it's really great," and and then we'll buy some more. So yeah, so for me, I think it's about looking at what you need, looking at what's going to make your life easier, and not necessarily trying to target your entire house unless you've got the money. But it is expensive.
I think you're 100% right. Looking, and again, I'm going to remove when I'm talking about the smart home players, the majors. I'm referring to Amazon, Google, and HomeKit.
Yeah,
Right. I think there is the macro level, which I love the fact that Apple has what I would call a hierarchical design. So you have multiple houses. You can have multiple homes if you want. Homes have zones. Zones have rooms. Rooms have objects or groups. Groups have devices in, right? And having that hierarchy and thinking about that in that way allows you to do some interesting things and understanding how those are going to play out. I think also, are you a voice first home, or do you expect your house to sense what's going on and just make the appropriate decision?
yeah,
I think your comment, the entertainment area, I kind of smile at that one because my entertainment area, and this has been a 3-4 year project for me because I have completely financed the whole thing myself. It has not been a single review unit. I don't think I would put Philips Hue light bulbs because of the price point on them in any other room in my house. But my entertainment area, because of the value that I get from the Philips Hue, the gradual LED light strip behind the TV, the HDMI sync, combine that with the Sonos system, like we don't need to go. Well, not that we could go to the movies right now, but we don't need to because I've created this viewing experience, which for me and my family is like that. Yes, it took time to plan it out and put it all together, but it's been worth every penny. So,
yeah.
and I think that's the important part. What you're saying is if you get value from it, right? It's fine. There's other people that Philips Hue sucks, blah blah blah. I'm like, no, they're a very popular brand, and they have their place, right? IKEA,
Yeah.
again, same thing. We could talk about this one for hours. I think if we could get some viewer feedback on this, maybe we could look at individual rooms and kind of talk about different approaches to entertainment, bedrooms, living rooms, like kitchens, all those kinds of things. So those are our topics. We could, if we hear feedback, if you guys want this, let us know.
Yeah, leave it in the comments if you want us to talk about individual rooms, what we think. You've heard our thoughts around setting up a HomeKit home and how to possibly approach it, but individual rooms then is another topic in itself, and how to pick the right devices and everything else.
So looking at the product spotlight piece, the products that I am currently implementing in my house, again, at my own pocket, right? So this is I think that's an important one for people to understand is someone paying us? Did someone send it to us? I think that's important. I have been running something like a MistFlow humidifier. Again, Canadian winter, really cold, kids' nosebleeds, all those kinds of problems. There's actually health issues, not to mention if it gets cold and dry enough, structural issues. So having to constantly have some kind of humidity in the house has been super important for me. I have electrical monitoring, and what I have seen is that my current warm mists have been using up to 130 watts, 140 watts, sometimes more, right? Because it's got to actually heat it all up, which that's electricity, steam it all out. And I'm kind of restricted on the way that these things work in that I've got to go and find the dumbest humidifier I can find with an analog plug, because anything with a button on it, I can't use to turn on and off with a smart. So it's kind of like you're in this situation where you either are at as dumb a device as you can find or as smart a device as you can find. And the humidifiers, I think the only other humidifier, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but the closest thing was actually the little brother of this, which was the Vocolinc Flower Bud, which was really more of a diffuser and, just hardly a sip of water in that thing. So it would run out in a couple of hours.
Yeah,
the MistFlow, I really like the design. I like the fact that they have put the color in it. The diffused color lights, the way that the LEDs come through is nice, but this thing just blows water out. Like it's kind of crazy. So, and it does truly last more than a 24-hour, I think they said up to 30 hours is what was quoted on the website. The only thing I will say about it is I have noticed that with these kind of humidifiers, this is a misting humidifier, so ultrasonic, you do have to be a little bit careful around the kind of water you're using. If you're using more of a hard water, it will mist out the impurities in the water as well. So it can raise your PM 2.5 levels, right? Your particulate matter.
I noticed that with the Vocolinc flower bud, that the room temperature I've got in my living room, it seemed to raise to crazy levels when I was running that, and I wasn't sure if it was because of the essential oils. Then I run it without the essential oils, and I still had the same issue. And I thought, surely water shouldn't be doing this.
So a lot of the time, if you read the fine print, you should be using distilled water.
Yeah, I read that after.
That being said, I don't know many people who are going to run out every day to buy another couple of liters of distilled water. So the approach I'm taking is, and this is all balanced, right? So it's you tweak one thing, something else goes out of whack. My humidity is getting in the right place, but I am pairing this in my master bedroom. I've got the MistFlow right beside the Vocolinc PureFlow purifier. So I'm kind of like combining the purification, get the PM 2.5, but keeping the moisture. So it's a work in progress, but so far I have been extremely happy with these.
I've been working on a review for the Yale Linus for about 4 months. So I've had it since about November time. And the Yale Linus smart lock is a smart lock that fits Euro cylinders. So it's aimed at the UK and Europe markets and any market that supports Euro cylinders. Full disclosure, I did get sent this by Yale, along with the Yale adjustable cylinder as well, which I needed, which I'll talk about in the review why I needed it, because my Euro cylinder wasn't 100% compatible. The Yale Linus is built on the Argos technology because the company that owned Yale actually bought Argos, so they've took their technology, so the Yale Connect, the Yale app, and the Yale keypad, and produced the Yale Linus. Now the Yale Linus is a big lock, it's solid, it's metal, but it's been working well so far. I don't want to spoil the review too much, but it does what it says on the tin. However, like I'm going to talk about in my review, it is easier to get your house key out and unlock the front door than it is to get your mobile phone out, open the app, wait for the app to load, and then click unlock or lock. Where a smart lock for me really comes into its own and really adds value is where you add it into automations, where you just set it and go. It just does everything that it should do for you without having to interact with the app itself. There's a couple of ways within the app. Yale app, you can do that, or you can do it within HomeKit. HomeKit is a bit, you still have to enable it, but it is a good lock. It works well, but it's £219 or €249. If you need the cylinder, it's another £39. The keypad's £59 if you want it. So it all adds up, but it's still a lock on its own. It's still cheaper than a lot of its other competitors as well.
Is this, I had the older, I think it was maybe the second generation August. That was just more of it didn't replace the lock. It just kind of, you retrofitted it onto your existing lock and turned it. Is it that style, or is this actually a full replacement of?
So it's so it fits onto your existing lock furniture, but if you do need to replace your cylinder, you can do with the Yale adjustable cylinder. And although it's extra cost to do that, I would recommend doing it because it provides a better and more secure fit to your door, because there's 2 screws in the Yale Linus adjustable cylinder that actually you used to screw the back plate on before you put the lock on, because it's only secured with some small screws that sort of latch on to your existing lock. But the thing I like about it, you can unlock it with a key manually. You also can use the knob on the other side as well to unlock it at night. You don't always have to use the app or automations to achieve the lock.
So you can choose not to answer this question and save it for the review, but the big reveal for me is, does it have a contact sensor built in to know when it's actually closed?
It does. Door sense. So it uses Argos technology again. So it uses door sense, so you can see when it's locked. However, I know what you're going to ask next. No, it's not exposed to HomeKit.
No, I'm okay with that. I have had the experience of getting on a plane traveling across the ocean, actually in your neck of the woods. Yeah. Looking down to make sure my door was locked. I had locked it before it was fully closed. So the pin hit the outside of my door frame and spun it open in December in Canada.
Wow.
And then I was scrambling to, looking again. I check on my house when I'm finally getting on the ground 6-7 hours later, and realized that, wow, the temperature's really dropped in my house. So thankfully, I had some great friends who went over and were able to close the door for me and helped and figure out that situation. But again, if you're looking for a smart lock, make sure it does both, because just because it's locked doesn't mean it's closed.
Yeah, it's it does. It has a thing called DoorSense, which is taken again from the August.
Yeah,
I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's called August, isn't it? Yeah.
August. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of this week's HomeKit show, our first time together, and hopefully, first of all, people that are listening or watching, you've got something out of it. And if you've got any suggestions or any questions or anything, just leave it in the comment section. Give us ideas of how we can improve or things we can talk about. Also, don't forget as well, you can tweet us as well and ask us some questions, and we're more than willing to answer.
Anybody has things you just want to hit us up with, well, do that. It's a great way to get us questions, right? I think the feedback from the audience is really what's going to make this awesome. If you guys have any guests that you'd like to get us to bring on, we'll figure out if we can do that. I think it's start of a beautiful thing.
Also, don't forget to check out Chris's own YouTube channel. It's HomeKit Geek. There's links in the description below. He's got some great content, great reviews, great videos. Well, thank you very much, and we will speak to you all soon.